Wednesday. It's Wednesday, which means what? Our next edition of Live and Unscripted. Let's get that camera straight. Okay, so this is, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for today. I'm having to tell myself, breathe, speak slowly. Not that I really care, but you might if you want to hear what I have to say. I've been having the most amazing pre-conversation, which doesn't happen before Live and Unscripted because most often my guests are somewhere else. But today we have guests live in studio. And oh my, I've thought like maybe 15 times already, I should have had a camera going for the pre-conversation because the things that have been said are absolutely amazing, which makes me even more excited to have this conversation and to bring Jessie on screen today. I just want to say a huge thank you to Leah, who's going to be putting in notes for us. She's amazing at that and just kind of helps keep me in line that way. And then also to all of you who joined our group because you wanted to hear Jessie. And for those of you who support her in her world and the work that she's doing and are now supporting us, just my deepest gratitude and appreciation to you for joining us. We will have a replay of this Live and Unscripted. It'll be you can find it here at the Righteous Rebels Facebook group. If you're joining us from YouTube, thank you. If you're joining us from my personal page or from LinkedIn, thank you for sharing your time with us today. The replay will be at the Facebook Righteous Rebels group. There is a page, but you'll want to go to the group. If you're not a part of it, go over, hit the join button. Bink, we'll let you in because we want to invite you to share your magic with us as well. You can also find those replays over at therighteousrebels.com. We have all of our Live and Unscripted, not all of them, probably for most of the last year are on that page. There's a lot of good ones. This is definitely bound to be, we haven't even had it yet, and it's bound to be probably top 5, maybe top 1. So we're going to start how we always start, which is welcome you. And just to let you know that this is a podcast where I used to run one called Living Courageously Exposed. I got tired of the production pieces afterwards, and I didn't love the cleaning up because I love living life unfiltered and showing you that it can be done as well. And so I moved to this platform currently where we just do it live. I ask one question in the beginning, and then we let inspiration take over and be the guide for the rest of this conversation. I can tell you that we probably will have Jessie back because this is a conversation just in the little bits that we've been talking about that could go for several episodes. Often I just meet people on the street. Jessie is one of those people. I met her at a marathon last summer and she had run her first 5K. She asked me to take her picture and it was like bing, 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 bam, here we are. And I knew that I had to know her in my world and that I wanted to introduce her and her magic to you. So this is a platform where I show you how easy it can be to actually get to know people live. Like I'm getting to know them for the first time as I'm talking with them in front of you. There are a few times that doesn't happen, but I love this. I love this format. So I encourage you to do it in your own worlds, to just go out and meet people and find the magic that they have for you. Because everyone that we meet has a piece of magic that's going to assist you in your growth, in your expansion, and in your just like having an amazing lived experience. So we're going to start how we always do, which is a little bit of breathing. Today, I haven't thought about it because I was caught up in amazing conversation. We're just going to close our eyes today and just breathe. Today, as you do that, though, I'm inviting you to do it a little bit deeper than you normally do, which is most of us kind of get stuck breathing in our chest. But as you do that, I'm going to invite you to like notice like the expansion in your ribs, like create room for your heart to actually beat, to notice the expansion in your lung or your rib cage, creating space for your lungs to actually have room to breathe and to push that breath all the way down into your hip and sit bones. Thank you, Brandy, for the sit bones. And let's just do, oh my gosh, a minute feels like a long time today. Let's even go just 30, 45 seconds. So as you do this, I'm going to invite you to do it with either a downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever is most comfortable for you. And we'll do it together. So if you would like to, you're welcome to breathe in emotions and things that you would like to be feeling or something you'd like to be experiencing, and you can release just all the shiz that you got going on, attach it to a breath and breathe it out and watch it transform. So you can do that on your own today, however feels and suits you best. So with that, downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever is most comfortable for you, breathing in through your nose, taking it deep again, feel your ribs expand, feel your belly expand. Hold that breath if you want to, and then just let it out through your mouth. And then just continue that cycle. So breathing in, feeling the expansion, holding for just a brief moment, and then releasing through your mouth. As you're doing it, I'm going to invite you to be present to what you're experiencing. What are you feeling? What are you noticing? Let's do a couple more big deep breaths. And one more. Awesome. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes, come back into presence, and just notice. What is it that you notice? Did you notice yourself settle? Did you feel your mind slow down? Did you feel your heart, like heartbeats? Oh my gosh, I have so many things running through my head. Your heartbeat slow down and come into a place of coherence. That place where you can let go of everything that's already happened today, and you can let go of anything that you think is going to happen for the rest of the day, and you can just be right here, right now. Did you experience the presence of you? Did you notice or feel your rib cage expand or your belly expand? Whatever that was for you, I'm going to invite you to write it in the comments. I love to hear people's experiences that way, and it also allows us to teach those who are maybe less familiar with breathing, like possibilities of things they could experience, and to normalize actually pausing to breathe and bringing brain, heart, and gut into coherence. When we're in a coherent state, we're able to think more clearly. We're able to problem solve and be creative far better than we can if we're in trying to make decisions and whatnot out of just like really tense states. So part of the reason we do this is so that you just can recognize and have a tool that you can take away. If you take nothing else away from today's conversation, take away the tool of, I can just close my eyes and I can breathe a little slower and a little deeper and recognize the changes that take place. So with that, oh my gosh, we're gonna get going here. It's we're starting late because we were having the best conversation, and I'm excited to just bring Jessie right onto camera and continue that conversation. So Jessie, come on in or come on down. Was that the Price is Right? Like I watched Price is Right as a kid. There she is.
Hi guys.
My dear friend Jessie Pool.
Hello.
Hi sis.
How are you?
I'm fabulous. And
Oh, that was so good.
yeah.
Hi,
So, what it's kind of cool because I am not a huge believer in like, I'm going to use the word clout.
Mm-hmm.
Clout on all of the alphabet soup that can get put behind our names. Now, let's be true and honest. I have some alphabet soup that I can put behind my name, but it's not the thing that like brings me joy. It's not the thing that brings me peace. It's not, and if I seek new learning, it's not to have clout or to make myself look better than maybe I am, but to just be
present.
This is one of the things I love about how I do this is I can't give you any of the alphabet soup or cloutness that Jessie holds because I don't know. But what I do know is she has an incredible soul and she has an incredible story and wisdom upon wisdom.
I try to be wise.
Right? We're all wise to the level of where we want to be at. And, and our experiences help bring and stack that wisdom for us. So anything you want, I think we're really, I hesitate to ask that question because I think we're going to get into it. So I'm just going to start with asking the one question I ask all of our guests, which is this.
Okay. I'm ready.
She's
I'm
like,
ready.
What were you like as a little kid, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
As a little kid, I was fast and
Like speedy fast?
Tasmanian devil. I was high
Like
energy.
Bull in a china shop?
Like Bam Bam from the Flintstones.
I love it.
But no, I remember being really fast. I remember bouncing around a lot, always wanting to be outside all the time, in the trees, always disappearing, running away into the woods.
It sounds like also too that's part of your culture.
Yeah, it's helped me a lot. But as a little kid, I think I wanted to be CSI, a forensic investigator, and then I was super into that for a really long time. And then I went to marine biologists. Mermaids, they're real, is what I said. But I wanted everything that I wanted to do as I was little. I think it just involved helping or serving other people. Like every job that I've had in my life, in the industries that I've been in, it's been serving other people, like the serving industry, right? Maybe it's a love language of mine that I haven't been able to fully embrace. Maybe it's something that I just find contentment in giving and nurturing people. I love that. It wasn't always that way. But I guess as a little kid, I had the opportunity to meet so many people, right? And have so many human connections when you're that little and go to a lot of different schools. But it helped me fit into social settings I didn't feel like I could belong. So the little kid that's trying to be something, right? You're running around, everything's fast, everything's coming at you head on, and you're trying to process what it's like to be that little kid and what you want to do with your time. But I think for me, I struggled a lot with time management as a little kid because I wanted to do it all. I wanted to accomplish every task, every adventure, everything now. Like I embrace the now.
As you're talking, I'm like thinking, wow, it's kind of like life. Lots of us are still running around as little kids
100%.
who don't know time management. Not that you have to, like that. That's a whole nother story.
Confessions. Confessions.
And we want to do it all. We want to play. There's so much to life to live. And we kind of get put in these, or told that we've got to be in these different confines or different boxes, or we'll call them careers, ways of living. And I think as you're talking, I'm like, wow, I know a lot of adults, sometimes including myself, who still
or the kids
feel like that
around.
Little kid is like, there's so much, but I want to try that, and I want to try that, and I want to do that. And people are like, whoa, chill. Like, get in your box.
100%. And then I feel like when you're a kid and you're moving fast like that, or even into, like we were discussing this even before I got on the podcast, is we were talking about time management, but we also discussed timelines, right? Like looking at your life in a timeline view instead of looking at all of it happening all at once. Like how overwhelming, right? How exhausting is it to know that you can put your life into this linear pattern of that happened, this happened, this happened, that happened, this happened, that happened. Like we know all the things happen, but how can you collect it as an individual to deconstruct how those timeline events affect you today, right? Like,
so if I'm hearing you correctly, just to make sure that you as a listener have an understanding, like, and I've done this for myself on an occasion or two, maybe not to the depth that I could have, but where it's this roadmap of like at 5 this, and at 6 this, or at 7 this, or this big memory happened here, and going, if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying standing where we're at now as more lived experience under our belts.
It's like a human, it's a human being rather than a human doing, right? Like we're human doers. We all do things as humans. We show up for work. We manage relationships. We try to manage friendships and emotions. Like we're humans doing these things all the time. But for me, the most challenging task at hand in my adult life today, that is from years and years of me just not deconstructing those emotions or taking accountability for when I was toxic or bad or negative, like, but really embracing that season right into your now and knowing that you get to give grace and forgive that timeline of all of those.
So you're saying,
that broke you down, like
you're saying here, you'll look back and you'll
Mhm.
write a time and you'll be like, okay, I'm going to go
Mhm.
back to the events or an event that happened
Mhm.
at this spot in my
Yes.
lived experience, which we're calling timeline.
Mhm.
And when you say deconstruct,
Mhm.
kind of give, we have all heard the word deconstruct, but what does that mean for you in how you go back and look at that as a, instead of holding, because what I'm hearing you say is instead of holding all of the things that have happened in our life as like, this is who I am, it's the recognition that they're just experiences that we've had to give us wisdom and knowledge and this springboard into the next phases of our life.
It just, I feel like it gives you
Healing.
a perspective, right? It gives you a perspective on your healing.
So what is that deconstruction for you?
So
like,
for
how
me,
does that come about? What do you do?
I'm visual. Okay, so I'm very visual. I could read books all day long, but unless I'm reading them and writing things down or writing in the book as to what's standing out to me, I have a hard time remembering stuff.
I love writing in books. I just heard some people go, they're like,
I know, I can't help it. Well, and I just hope to share that wisdom and maybe like if I have a book that influences someone, I could pass that down to them and be like, well, these are the key moments for me where it stood out and it helped me get an influence on something.
Don't you think too that can also help with this timeline thing is going back and going, because I'll date it. A lot of times I'll date it. This is what I thought on this date. And I look back and I'm like, whoa, like, yeah, who wrote that? And or wow, that's where I was at that time. But how do I feel about these passages now?
So like deconstruction for me has to be visual, right? I can talk about it. I can tell you, anybody can talk about all the things that they've been through. I have for years. Like I stayed in that cycle of this is what I went through. This is what happened to me. I know those things happened to me and I know they made me sad or emotional. But when I talk about deconstructing, it's scary, right? Deconstructing an event. Terrifying, right? Like you're going to have to break down each individual thing. No, I'm not saying deconstruct it in that way. I'm saying write down the event that made you feel less than, or made you feel not seen, or maybe where you felt neglected, or maybe you felt angry, or maybe you felt sad. Like write those emotions down, write the event down, write down the emotions that you feel and why. Is it something that's beyond that one event? Is it multiple events that made you feel that anxiety, or maybe that rush of your nervous system shutting down because it doesn't know what's right or not right, or what you need to be or what you shouldn't be doing? Like it's all of those black and white questions of arguing with yourself. If you're capable, if you're not, are you worthy? Are you not? Do you have the drive? Do you not? But what goes up has to come down, right? Like you have to go left, but you also have to go right. There's forward and then there's backwards. There's all these different 2-tier systems in our life that we were taught as a negative, right? Like sad and happy, right?
Yeah, like I was taught right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't believe in right and wrong anymore.
I don't either.
I don't, and I still find myself letting those words escape my mouth. And then I'm like, wait, it's not about that, because it's not about our rightness or our wrongness. One of my favorite quotes is, and I've said it before on here, is by a fellow named Buckminster Fuller. They call him Bucky. And he said, God didn't give us a right foot and a wrong foot. He gave us a right correction and a left correction, and a right correction and a left correction.
And then if you're going left and right, you can still fall forward and backwards.
Absolutely. And life changes when we start to look at things in those kinds of perspectives versus making ourselves right or wrong. And let's be true, we like to be right.
I love it. I love it so much. I try often, like with deconstructing, that I found as a challenge when I have to look back at all of those events, right? Accountability. Like, I hate it. I have been the most toxic partner. I've been the most toxic friend. How
do you describe the word? Because I think toxic is a word that lots of us hear or we've heard about or we experience it ourselves. But what does toxic mean? Again, in your lived experience?
Feeling and instigating unhealthy environments, not vocalizing my boundaries or when I was offended, or hurting or lying or being deceitful or manipulating or lash outs. Like, I have chronic complex PTSD, and a part of that diagnosis is dysregulated emotions.
Mm.
I have a hard time regulating emotions without wanting to be impulsive or intrusive or overbearing. Like, I'm very pushy with things because I don't know that boundary, right? But I'm learning, and a part of deconstructing those emotions is knowing and understanding boundaries and awareness in yourself, knowing what groups of people make you uncomfortable, which ones make you feel safe, knowing what people in your life are influencing you to want to be the best version of you, and which ones are enabling you to be a part of their sad. Like, I love all my friends. I love all of the relationships I've been able to flourish with people in my lifetime, because I've had a lot of tragic heartbreak and violence, and I can mirror all of these different things and explain to you how traumatic they were, or I could just embrace the fact that we all have an opportunity to be reckless. We all have an opportunity to be stagnant. We all have an opportunity to be a negative in someone's life, only to know that we want to be better. Like, I would never want to intentionally hurt anybody's feelings. And if I ever did, I would hope that person had a voice to be able to express to me those emotions if I ever made them feel that way. But
isn't it this really cool place that we get to when we can get to the place that you just said of like, wow, I've learned this about myself and how I was showing up based off of what I was taught or my lived experience or the hardships that I went through. And
it's like an arm's reach
instead
almost.
of, and that we get to this point that instead of blaming all of those things, we recognize our part in them or what we've learned from them. And you can say the thing that you just said is like, wow, I know that I've hurt people, whether intentionally or not. My actions at some point or another have been hurtful, and I've been able to go and talk to some people and find forgiveness and make amends, and others maybe not, but that you can say, if you're out there, like, I love you, and
I do.
It doesn't. It feels good instead of being like, oh, I'm such a crappy person.
Well, you
it's
carry,
like,
right? We carry so much. Like, I carried so much shame and guilt from stuff that I've done, stuff that I've said, stuff that I wanted to make better, stuff that I wished I could have did different. But staying in that wishing well, hoping for the light at the end of the tunnel to be given to you, is not something I recommend for anybody. I recommend fighting and facing those versions of you that you hate, screaming at the versions of you fighting through addictions. Like, fight for you, fight for your life, fight for your value, fight for a lifestyle that you never even imagined that you were capable of. Like, keep fighting forward, but fight a fight that's worth the battle. Don't fight yourself. Don't put yourself down to the point where you have nothing left to give because you've been fighting for all the wrong reasons, right? Like, I have so much growing to do and so much learning and so many things that I still have to work through with my lifestyle. Like, learning how to communicate, learning how to live in a slower lifestyle.
right? When
It's
we
hard.
don't live in a slower paced kind of world, and running at 150 miles, is encouraged, and like, that makes you valuable and have worth and friends. It's just not it.
No, there's more. If I could give anything that's really helped me through this, like, I'm still in recovery for my PTSD, and I'm probably going to be in recovery for a very long time until I can fully feel confident in my body to have a voice that's a positive influence for people. I don't ever want to manipulate. I don't want anybody feeling like I'm better than them. I don't want anybody feeling like I've reached these versions of myself to ever not see you. Like, I see everybody, and a part of that healing journey is the disconnect, right? Like, you have to sacrifice those moments and those things to really see the versions of yourself when you're by yourself. Like, being lonely and alone is scary, but embracing that version of you through strength while you get to feel that feeling, I feel like that's powerful. I feel like that's encouraging to know that you feel confident enough alone or
or that you're okay
being
like actually
here,
okay
healing.
You know, earlier we were talking about, and I think it lends to this piece of loving yourself first. Like, you know, we've been taught to put other
Everybody
people first,
ahead
and
of us.
this is the part of like the love others. No, what's the? I'm mixing things up. Oh my gosh.
I was going to finish your sentence, but I have no idea. I'm trying to think so hard.
It's love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Yes.
But people forget that means you have to love yourself as you love yourself. So if you are putting yourself down, you're always 100 miles an hour, or you're judging yourself, or you put in, you know, whatever word there for yourself or activity, that's exactly how you're going to love other people. And I love this idea of selfishness. Like, I learned a concept of selfishness growing up, and that it was a bad thing.
You get put down for giving that time for yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's a negative that you don't have the time for yourself because you have to get this done first.
Right. And we've had to label other things like selflessness or even self-care sometimes. And I'm actually embracing this concept of it's okay to be selfish, because here's what I'm learning is that when we love ourselves first and foremost, which means we love the hard things about ourselves. Like we love what we think are things that are wrong with us, or our past experiences. When we can really learn to love those things as just part of the yin and yang of our lived experience and as our growth and expansion experience, we actually become selfless.
Well, it helps
in a
you,
way
it helps
that's
you
like
receive,
whole.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I feel like the most exciting moment for me during this whole transition of human connection and trying to connect with people beyond addictions or environments or that temporary high fulfillment of what it could be. I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to live a life of intimate connection, because we have this whole life to live, not having these temporary.
So let's talk about that. Intimate. I love the word intimate.
Me too.
And I love the word intimacy. I know that a lot of people really see that it's been taught as like sexual, and it's so much more than that. More. I loved it like probably 10, 12, I don't even know, 12, 15 years ago. I learned it as into me, you see, intimacy. And when we can learn to be more whole and loving of ourselves, it's so much easier to be intimate with other people. It can be challenging if you're not accustomed to it, though. So what does that intimacy mean to you in this space of
I feel like
living?
So growing up, intimacy, like you would think that I grew up in a small town. I mean, a lot of these people on Facebook, I mean, some of them are from back home. A lot of them are from back home. Some of them are from Idaho. But the thing about being back home and how small it is you have what you have, right? You have the resources you have things that you have, and you make do with them while you have it, right? But when you have a new opportunity explode to you, like Idaho Falls has imploded to me, it put all of these opportunities right at bay, right in front of me. And while I didn't know how to access those things back home, or maybe I didn't have the strength or resilience to look into something bigger than myself, when I came here, I was blessed with opportunities. I was blessed with challenges of, do you want to do this? Is this what you want to be? Is this who you're going to be for the rest of your life? And you have to ask yourself those questions. You have to ask yourself if the person and version of you right now is who you want to be. And when you start thinking about all the versions of you that got you there, you start giving yourself grace. You start looking at yourself in like this little messy, chaotic ball that's like, I've been a shit show most of my life, but you made it, right?
Like you're here.
We're drinking herbal coffee, and it's a beautiful day.
It's snowy. Yeah.
Like, if you give yourself so much more grace about where you are right now, it makes the deconstruction of all of the timeline of events. You take it with open arms. You get to be like, shit, yeah, I went through that. Yes, I survived that. gosh, I was really terrible at that time of my life or that season, right? But you get to embrace all of those seasons and be like, I know, one, how to never act out again. I know I never want to lash out. I know I never want to feel these addictive tendencies for myself anymore or be impulsive. Like, I want to take control. I want to take control. I want to take control of my life. I want to take control of my friends, my family, everything that I let go and pushed away. And I want to hold it. And I want to hold it tight in human connections. Random strangers, like the majority
who were only random for a few minutes.
Oh, who were only random for a couple of minutes, but it's like, I'm sure a lot of you people that are watching this, I probably never met you. Maybe we were meant to meet. Maybe I was meant to get your perspective on intimacy and deconstruction to influence me into my day-to-day. Like, it's human perspective. Why are we not all sharing and acknowledging everything that we went through and then giving that personal experience and knowledge to grow together as individuals? But together, right? It's togetherness within wholeness.
Yeah.
It's exciting and it's so beautiful and I love it.
Okay, but I want to address like
Tell me
how this part, and we talked about it when you got here. Part of my own, like, looking at my timeline and my own deconstruction is recognizing the faith that I grew up in, and this learning to, how do I say it? This has been a super big challenge for me because I haven't wanted to talk poorly about the religion. It brought me so many good things. It was very much a part of every part of my being. And stepping back from that has been really, really challenging. And I don't want to get into that today, but I've been in a space for the last 20 days where I was having serious cultural shock because everything around me was so different from how I grew up. Even having stepped back a bit from practicing,
Did you feel like you lost like a bit of your identity?
Oh, I'd lost my whole identity
when you came into your version of you now.
Absolutely, because at that point I was letting go of a marriage. I was letting go of what momhood looked like. I was letting go of and really embracing and gaining even a little bit of understanding of what my sexuality was. And then again, who I was outside of this, I didn't know who I was.
But where's your embracing season, right? Like where's the army of people that you expected to be there for you while you made this transition by yourself? And there wasn't. There's not an army.
There wasn't an army.
There's no one there.
Now, to be completely fair, there were people who I feel like were gifted to me, who came in and would be like, oh my gosh, we still see you. We love you. I did a TED talk on this where I talked about how when I would put 3 letters together, I watched people who knew me my entire life. I watched their entire idea of who I was change in an instant. You could see it flash across their face. And so it's just interesting to be in the space now where I'm about 11 years past that space.
That season of your life.
That season, absolutely. And I'm in this new season of, again, where it feels like there's big tumult and big change. And I went through a point where I said, hey, God, like, I think I'm emotionally intelligent enough that I can make big decisions on my own. Like, I don't need you to meddle for me anymore. And he's like, okay, let's see how that works for you.
And then you were able to go through all this roller coaster.
What I did is I surrendered. I'm really learning how to surrender.
Just giving to the universe and giving everything.
Yeah, and it's been a whirlwind of stuff I never imagined.
How many life experiences have you had of new things you've tried? Tons?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I haven't been ready to talk about it. I'm moving into that space. I feel like I'm gently being nudged into that space.
Do you feel like it's something that you want to do? Or
absolutely. Absolutely. Which is part of why I think me getting to have people like you in my world, which is what I was trying to say, is the box that I was in before and the culture that I really struggled to come out of. I'm realizing, this is hard to admit. Oh my gosh. I'm realizing how much I was taught to judge. And had I seen you in July under the same constructs that I would have judged you and kept walking, instead of getting to do this today and to recognize that we have so much to teach each other. And I can't even remember why I was telling you. It's just about seasons of life and whatever you talked about. But I'm grateful that we can go back and that I can find other people who want this deep, intimate, human
And it isn't
connection, which means you gotta let go of some of the shit you've been hanging on to. And that we get to do this together.
Mm-hmm.
And
people are stronger in numbers. And if you have an influence that is radical acceptance, like radical acceptance, what's radical acceptance to you? What is it? What is it? What is your definition right now? Think in your mind, sit where you're sitting, be at your job, be with your family, but ask yourself right now, what's radical acceptance?
Right?
What is it? Body. Is it an environment? Is it a person? Is it a song? Is it a season? What is it? What's radical acceptance to you? What is it that makes you feel so good inside? What is it that warms your soul or your body when you're talking about it? What are you passionate about? What excites you? Like, what are the things that make you passionate?
That make you want to like get up every day.
Every single day. Why?
Feet hit the floor, saying thank you, and like heading off and like just hit the ground running. But not because you're running to achieve worth or running to achieve value. You're running because you're running to you.
And being aware of your emotions, like that's one of the biggest things that has been hard for me, right? Is once you're in your body and you're trying to shift and you're trying to change all these lifestyles you only knew, right? Like, be in your body, feel your emotions, but understand the things you talk about. Like, people talk about fight or flight or fawn, like survival mode. We can talk about all these things.
And you can tell when someone's just talking about them and they're just using,
just saying
again, nothing against that, because it's at least out there. But you can tell.
But understanding them, like knowing the definitions, knowing that like if you're in a fight state, it also can make you a narcissist. Or when you're in a fawn state, it can make you have OCD, like you're closing down, but you're reacting on a tick. Like, understanding those, knowing that fight and flight and all of these things, they also have emotional responses to them. They also have negatives to them that manipulate your mind and make you feel like you're not doing it correctly, right? But if you deconstruct, or if you break apart, or if you smash down, or King Kong break apart, rip it apart, like take one word and grab that word and pull it into words that you gain access to.
Words. Like, for me, again, in this journey that I started probably 15 years ago of spiritual, I call it a spiritual journey. It was a feeding by fire hose for 2 or 3 years. And words were one of the things. And I'd be like, why do I have such a hard time with the word divorce, or with the word gay, or with the word whatever you name it?
It's such a separation word, right? It's like we are separating and isolating you and dividing this because of a statue. And I don't think that's very fair. Well, and I love that we have this opportunity to go, I can deconstruct and redefine what words mean in my life, not what everyone else says, and that we can do that with anything. And that everything is biased in an opinion, but when it's your own opinion, why does it ever matter? Because it's you who gets you through your days. It's you who shows up for yourself to make you the best wife, or best husband, or best child, or best mother,
friend, or
sister,
partner, or just
like if you're showing up for you and you're being nice to yourself, why would you ever have a reason to be mean to anybody? And if someone is being mean to you, vocalize it. Vocalize where it's offending you. Vocalize when you're not ready. Vocalize all of the things that you never had the courage to vocalize for yourself because you felt not allowed. That's not fair.
And also,
not being allowed is so unfair to all of us.
Yeah. And I would also add, like, if someone's misbehaving or being unkind, one, you don't have to stay in it. And two, to recognize, like, to really give grace. It doesn't mean you have to, again, you're not accepting the behavior for yourself, but to recognize that something is not right in their world or in their life, or they have something that causes them to act out or to show up that way. And then to go, how do I do that? How do I do that? Where am I doing that? And again, timelining it. See, for me, I do that. I'm like, why is that bothering me so much? And sometimes I can know right away, and others I have to take more time. Or in fact, sometimes it takes a lot of time. but it always comes and I'll be like, oh
It
man,
hits you like a train wreck. You're like, ah,
dang, it was that thing. That it's rarely, if ever, the situation that's going on right now. It's almost always something back there.
Yeah.
Timeline.
So I did. Okay. Some of you have heard this. Like, I've talked about this a lot to a lot of close friends, and it was this perspective that helped me. Gosh, it helped me so much. Reflection and deflection. Okay. You know that a reflection is seeing oneself, right? You look at a mirror, you see yourself. Deflection. When you think deflect, when you hear the word deflect, it's like to push away, to make go opposite of direction as to reflect, deflect. Think of those two words. Now that you have them in your head, I had to look at my life like this. I am one human being. I'm in my body. I have a soul. I have a spirit. I have energy. I have personality. I have trade value. I have all these crafts and things that make me who I am. And so do you, right? We all have these individual things that make us who we are. Now, I want you to put yourself right where you're at. You're in a room. There could be people. You could be at work. There's probably 50 million things going on. You're probably looking at your phone. You're probably scrolling. But look at your life in a standstill as one and only one. You're in this room right where you are by yourself, and you're holding a mirror. And it doesn't matter what kind of mirror it is. It could be a handheld mirror. It could be Beauty and the Beast. Like, come on. It could be any mirror.
Be your cell phone.
It could be a cell phone selfie mirror. And when you're holding your phone and it is on self view, what do you see? You see yourself, right? When you hold a mirror in front of your face, alone in aloneness, who do you see? You see yourself, you, right? Okay. We're all holding our mirrors. Now I want you to turn your mirror around right where you are. Turn your mirror around and point it the other direction. And now bring in all of the people and all the talk and all the texts and all the environments and everything that you are in right now.
I totally just took a breath because like that felt
It's heavy, right? You flipped your mirror around and what do you see? You see the back of your mirror, and then you see everything else that's happening around you. You see the trauma you went through. You see the relationships that failed. You see the successful relationships you're in. You see the friendships that failed. You see the friendships that are there. There's so much to this. There's anxiety and depression, and then there's jobs and finances, and like, gosh, there's so much stuff in your mirror, right?
Health and
now turn your mirror back around. What do you see? You see yourself, right? Now I'm in this room with this woman right here and a couple other people, and I just met these incredible,
we
wonderful
have a live
people.
audience today.
I have my mirror in my hand, and I take her hand and I pull her right here, and I'm still looking at my mirror. What's happening? She's in my view. She's in my mirror. Okay. I turn that mirror back around. It's the world. What's happening? I'm still here. She's still here. So reflection and deflection. For me, that concept of being the one holding my mirror every single day, being the one that is in control of the environments that I take into my reflection, the personalities, the projection, the mirroring, all of this stuff. When I meet shitty people, when I meet good people, all of these things that I'm taking in my day-to-day, like, I'm holding my mirror. I've had my mirror the whole time. I'm in charge. It's that simple as that much control of who is in your perspective, who's right here with you, who isn't, who's a part of the mirror. Like, she's looking at the mirror right now and she's by herself. And it's just as simple enough to add someone in. So everything that you do in this life forward, hold your mirror and look at you, look at yourself, acknowledge everything in your view. And if you need to turn it around and deflect it and maybe live present in all of that chaos, still be in charge of your mirror. Be in charge of what you bring in, the environments and the people and the situations. Know when you're triggered, know when you're not triggered, know who makes you feel safe, know who makes you feel empowered, know who makes you feel loved. Because those are the people that I want in my mirror.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I want to control and influence, and know that if I'm ever deflecting and my mirror's ever turned around, it's because I'm trying to bring people into my belief system of capability, like being capable, being allowed, being capable, being worthy, being capable, being allowed, being worthy.
I love it.
It's hard to say those things, right? It's hard to look at yourself and be like, yes, you could do this. Yes, you're allowed to do this. Yes, you're capable, because how cool is it to know that you can build an army of people who all believe in you, beyond family, beyond friends, beyond like strangers. Like, this is a stranger who's been literally empowering me on social media because I met her at a 5K. Like, what? She is committed and I'm inconsistent. So to know like that the people who've been a part of my life, who know how inconsistent I am and know how hard it is for me to keep up with everything that I'm trying to do, like healing and juggling and being in recovery and trying to not feel these addictive tendencies anymore. Like, oh, it is such a disarray.
So if I may, like talking about that,
Yeah.
about your inconsistency,
Mhm.
and I'm just gonna say this. I don't know that I would call it inconsistency, because it's a lot to it's a lot to move through.
I feel like I'm
And
juggling.
We most certainly are when we're in that space, and
I
we're
can't even juggle
juggling a
two
lot
balls.
of big, heavy emotions sometimes and experiences, and our bodies are the last piece to really understand and move through that kind of change. Our spiritual body, super fast. Our emotional body, fast. Our mental body, fast. Our physical body is the slowest thing. And so a lot of times we've learned the lessons and we're ahead of ourselves, but we've got to let this thing catch up. And I think that's where we start feeling inconsistent, because we know the thing, like we're feeling it, but this fleshy stuff we wear hasn't caught up yet. And so we're going to label it things like inconsistent, when in reality, you're moving through it as quickly as you can actually physically move through it. Which is why things like, there's all kinds of different ways to heal and energy works and stuff like that to help move through it. I encourage all of that stuff.
Try different resources too. Like I'm in the middle of my transitioning with healing. Like there's so many groups like that. I joined this Idaho Falls, like random, just I'm sure all of you guys, most of you in Idaho Falls are a part of it. It's like this Idaho Falls group. And I reached out and I asked, I was like, hi, I have CPTSD, right? Like I've done cognitive therapy, I've done EMDR. Like I'm trying to work on other resources to help me deconstruct these emotions in this irregular roller coaster of consistent and not consistent, right? Like I'm trying to tap into emotional releases. I'm trying to tap into sweat lodges. I want to do therapies that have worked, hadn't worked. Like, why are we not nurturing our bodies and trying to heal them internally from the inside out, instead of just self-caring on the outside? Like I could take a bubble bath all day and say self-care, 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 but the bubble bath is only temporary for me. But what am I doing in that bubble bath? Am I writing down goals? Am I trying to have a spiritual awakening in that bathtub where I'm literally in there for hours at Little Mermaid? Hey, see. But what are you doing with your time management? And are you willing to sacrifice all of those things that you ever felt were normal to try something that is completely not normal to you because you've never done it before? So what are you doing? Why?
It's that standing on the edge.
Yeah, and jump.
It's finding your edges of what feels not quite comfortable, or like it gives you a little bit of angst, but that angst is because somewhere your soul knows that thing is probably good for you, and you get to make the decision.
Like you get to be in control and take the wheel.
Absolutely. It's you take that leap and you trust in that. It's the surrender piece, and trusting that. I mean, any of the stories, there's a net there, you're going to build wings or whatever, metaphor you want to use, but that thing will be for your good. Or you can step back into what you already know, the thing that feels safe. And both of them are okay. This is the piece that I really want to help people understand, is both of them are okay. It's just a matter of where you want to be. And for me, it's really asking yourself, is that what I really want?
And what's your push? Like everybody heals differently.
Yes.
I'm still trying to find ways for me to process and to cope and don't know, I guess create those new environments for myself that are completely different. And what's helped me a ton, like take advantage of the resources that you guys have that are free. Like I don't know how to meditate. I need a guided meditation. Like I need a person to grab my little brain and be like, hello, Jessie, you will sit here and you will not move. Because I feel like 10-second Tom, or I feel like Dory. I'm like, I am Dory, suffer from short-term memory loss. And then I'm gone, and then I'm back, and then I'm gone, and then I'm back. And it's like,
and again, it's finding the way that works for you, because sometimes I can sit in meditation and other times I do better with active, physically moving meditation.
And so then on the lines of activeness, I dove into the gym, right? That's my outlet. That's where I get to push my body beyond measure. And then when you start nurturing these little things, and I'm not saying go to the gym, it's going to be what helps you heal. No, if it does, that's amazing. But find something that gives you value. Find something you've never done and dive into it, head forward and be like, I don't know what's going on, but you're going to know what's going on enough to feel confident and fearless to break apart that guilt that you can't.
Okay, let's talk about that really quick.
Yes.
The confident piece versus the value piece. Because I think a lot of times, and this has been in my own world too, I have done some things because it makes me feel like I have value, and then those things become almost like an addiction. And I stick to those things probably way more than I need to, and I hang on to them because I'm like, no, I get value there. Like people know me as a runner, or they know me as the personal trainer, or they know me as the and then I don't want to break out of that, because that versus I do those things simply because they're things that I do. They bring a satisfaction, a joy. They bring a joy. That's the piece. If it's not joyful for me, I probably am less likely to do it now. Because if I'm feeling joyful, I'm feeling valued most often, and the value has to come from ourselves, not from an outside source. That's the piece I think I was trying to get, is it has to come from here. It's awesome to get it from out here and to have that as a validation of value, but the value has to come from here. And joy.
And it gives you that day-to-day reward for yourself when you get to show up for you, right? Like you don't have to worry or wait or expect, right, an applaud in your corner person telling you, hey, good job, right? Like again, that's that thing that I feel like we're taught, that we can't celebrate our victories unless you're being seen for them, or you can't have that acknowledgement because you didn't prove it enough. And it's like, no, I showed up for myself, but slowing down enough to be like, okay, that was a victory. This is a victory right here. It's huge.
It's that looking in the mirror and saying, damn, you're awesome. Way to go.
We accomplished tasks. But when you can say that, when you can look back at like the past, like look at the last week of your life, okay? Look at the last week of your life. What did you accomplish? What about 2 weeks? Did you accomplish anything in 2 weeks that you're like, oh, I did that? And if you did, do you remember? And did you look back on it, or you're moving too fast?
Okay, here's the thing though. When you're like, look back at the last week of your life, the first thing, like the ingrained crappy pieces of my mind are like, slouch.
I was lazy. You deserve it.
But the reality was I was on vacation. And what I did accomplish was I slowed down.
Yes.
I made new connections and relationships. I worked on ones that I'm already in. I got to see the world in a different way and to recognize how I show up in different spaces.
Yes.
I got to see those pieces of me. And so, but because my mind tells me you've got to be out running, or you got to lift some weights, or you got to do the things, read your books and write in your journal. And I didn't do any, like,
you're just like,
I have to step back and go, whoa,
giving grace.
Yeah. And what did I actually find joy in? And what did I actually accomplish that actually was huge value added to my lived experience and moving forward? So
I think what I super love too, and like along the lines of that, right? Like actually acknowledging, seeing the bigger picture of your accomplishments, right? And knowing that you don't always have to go so fast. That part
can be tricky.
Oh, it's so hard. I deal with it.
Tell me about that for you.
All the time. It's the hardest.
I struggle with that too. Just
self-gratitude is hard. Self-gratitude is so hard. But it's exciting. It's fulfilling. Self-gratitude is fulfilling and it's exciting. But what I can't express enough to people is find mentors. Find mentors and put yourself in a positive influence. Like, I listen to so many podcasts, you guys. There's this book by Pete Walker, and it's a complex trauma book. It's like from surviving to thriving. And I know all of us women, we're all dark and we like crime podcasts. Okay. It has a crime podcast guy voice. So it's like a murder guy's voice. Crime podcast. She's like, they're terrible. For all those who do, you know, that calm voice, the man's voice, you're like, this guy's got that calm voice. You're
like, that's too much suspension for me.
She's like, the suspense about trauma. It's very, very informational. And listening to free podcasts on Spotify, like listen to audiobooks, listen to those things, because they taught me tasks and skills that I didn't even know I was lacking in or just unaware of, didn't know.
Yeah, which is totally okay, because you learn them when you're supposed to.
Yes, and you go through these shifts and you get to gain access to all these free resources like Spotify. Spotify has so many healing podcasts. I listen to frequencies. Like, I have so many wonderful support systems. Like, I have my tattoo artist and her husband. Like, they are the most spiritual beings. I love them to death. Josie, Kenny, you guys are the bomb. Where
to go, Josie and Kenny?
She got me into frequencies and understanding how different hertzes affect your nervous system and your mind and frequency. Like, do those things, try them if you've never tried them.
Right.
Like,
and there are lots of ways to do that through music,
YouTube.
There's actually a place here in Idaho Falls called Awesome Relaxation that has the bed. I can't remember what the Sonoma beds.
The Sonoma beds are amazing.
They have the frequencies there,
and then they have the full red light therapy beds.
They have everything. If you want to know, reach out, because one, they're my friends. Elise is a dear friend of mine, and I actually worked there for a little while. It was rad.
I wanted to work there, and then I toured, and then I realized that I needed to live there.
Yeah. So there's places physically you can go. You can come. You want mentors? Stick with us here at the Righteous Rebels. And we've got lots of good stuff going on here. Part of how we help people experience that is through creativity and play.
Yes.
And everyone needs a creative outlet, and everyone needs a play.
Yeah.
And more of it.
And I encourage that. I really, really do, because during like the most distracted and disassociated time of my life, where I wasn't present or mindful of people or time, I was very one-sided to showing up, go home, show up, go home, show up, go home. I was able to turn off any human connection because I was so focused on my tasks, right, that I didn't have time to mend or nurture anything. It was, right? It's like, how do you make the time without feeling guilt or shame for those things, all of those relationships? But with time management and mindfulness and human connection, I came up with this idea of a space, right? Like, why are we not creating spaces in our homes and in our environments where we can tap into that creative, whether it's literature, whether it's art, whether it's photography. I feel like society in today has totally put a creative block on what's right or wrong. Like she talked about the black and white, or what's correct or what isn't good enough. And I've been able to watch the majority of my friends who are in the art industry or in art trade or tattoo industry, anything art, anything building, anything craft. They've really, really embodied that and tapped into it, and they've leaped bounds and miles. So if you have a gift, or if you don't even know if you have a gift yet, whether it's singing or writing or drawing or coloring or taking random pictures of the grass.
Or opening the door for people, or loving people, or hugging, or writing notes. Like, there's so many different gifts and talents.
Just showing up for yourself and showing up for other people. I feel like when you give others and nurture to others, it comes back full circle on yourself, because you're not just expecting and taking from people. You're present, you're mindful in that time, and to know that if it did take a couple extra minutes.
Isn't that one of the greatest things, though? It is for me, when I get to be with someone and they know that you're with them, and they look at you like,
it feels good.
Well, you're actually seeing me,
and being heard.
It's such a beautiful thing to watch that look, and that just like almost like come over someone's countenance of like, wait, you actually mean this. Like, that's such a beautiful thing. And it doesn't take that long.
Because it makes you feel like you're there. The whole identity crisis that you're fighting and all of the battles and wars that you fight behind closed doors, those are yours, right? You feel like an inconvenience to give that on to anybody else. Or maybe you don't need to show that version of yourself to strangers, but fully embody those emotions, like that dark, like that inner shadow, those inner wounded parts of you that are hurting. Look at your life now as a version of yourself hugging the version of you that never got that love, like the child version of you running around, the messy kid or the structured kid or the inconsistent kid, or like there's so many different versions of children that run around in this beautiful freaking world. And you were a version of that too, right? Like you had your own little identity and all that. But no matter how old you are, like my age right now, I'm turned 34 this year. Baby. And what a year. Like, what a year, right? Like, holy mackerel. But I'm excited to be able to fully embody this version of myself and know that this season of me right now, turning 34, I finally get to hug that little girl version of myself and love her and be like, come here, you little wild Tasmanian devil. And let me just squeeze you and hug you and tell you how beautiful you are. Because I know in my mind, like I've told myself and talked to myself enough to know that the version of me right now is hugging the child version of myself, while the 80-year-old version of myself is hugging me right now. So why am I not giving myself that? Why are we not all seeing the 80-year-old version of us telling us that we're doing a damn good job, and that everything that we meant to go through right now was teaching us something different and reminding us that we are allowed and able to chase all of the things that we've ever dreamed about? Why are we not telling ourselves that? And I believe that you can, and I believe that you're capable of accomplishing all those things, because we fight through our every day. She fights through her every day. We're fighting the emotions and everything that comes to us. And it's just like, I feel like the 80-year-old version of myself would be telling me that I'm doing a damn good job.
I can see the 80-year-old version of yourself. It's like the grandma tree from Pocahontas. That one. Okay, just like,
oh boy, come to me though, children. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. I aspire to be as awesome as her, because Grandma Tree, for one, was the coolest little character with all of the wisdoms. But I guess the 80-year-old version of myself would be calm, humble, and rich beyond anything that's finance, because the 80-year-old version of me, I feel like, would be holding me really tight, telling me thank you for such a wild ride.
You know what's amazing is all those things that you just talked about. I sense in the 34-year-old version of you.
Oh, I love it. It's so exciting.
Like I think sometimes we don't experience it. We want to feel those things, but we forget to recognize it.
Like, I'm here.
That we're already those things, that we're already experiencing those things, and that sometimes other people can see them even when we don't, because sometimes we want it so bad. We don't recognize it.
That slowing down.
I see that in you. Like, I know I've watched for the last few months. I know this, getting to know you through watching your posts and seeing the things. And I would love to do another one of these where we can actually sit down and talk about, because again, inspiration is the guide of this. And Jessie has a lot to share, where we can actually talk about some of the hard shit you went through and how that stuff started to, like, how you started to move through that and out of it to be in this space. Because I'm going to guess there's a lot of people who watch you today who are going to see that 80-year-old version of you that you just described right here, right now.
I hope our 80-year-old versions can hang out.
Right?
80-year-old versions. We're going to play a game called Guess What the Tattoo Used to Be.
Ooh. I know what it is.
Can you guess what these used to be when I'm 80 years old? It'll be fun. It'll be a fun game. I'm going to be like, this one used to be.
Right. Even as you pull up I'm like, I'm so grateful for my own self in this body that I'm in and the space that I'm in, because I want to judge myself too. That I allow myself to know that I have edges that need pushed, and that I can look at you in the state that you're in and how you express your pain, how you express your joy, and be like, that girl with all her tattoos needs to be a part of my life.
I love
you know, and that I get to, because I chose to stretch that part of myself, we get to have this beautiful, intimate connection that I don't have words to describe the way that it fulfills a soul, but I invite you to it. One of the ways, before I forget, one of the ways that we create that here at Righteous Rebels is our activities. We currently only have one on the schedule. There will be more coming. And maybe that's something Jessie can be a part of or help create as well, so that
I would love to.
her group can be a part of that too. But is our river trip. Like, you want to talk about a way to disconnect from all of the crazy sauce that goes on, whether you're a mom, you're a teacher, you're a businesswoman, you're a corporate woman, because this is just for our female friends. You want to learn how to disconnect and really be in touch with you and with nature and find intimate connection. Our river trip is the place for you to be. That takes place in August, dates 14th through 20th of August, here in Idaho. We will make more posts of that on how you can be a part of it. It's a $500 deposit to hold your spot. Reach out, and I say 500, but I just heard my mind say it's like 515 or 550. But if you want to know how to do it for 500, reach out. Because we would love to help you do what we're talking about today in a way that's creative and playful, that's going to push your edges, that's going to cause you to be like, oh, and yet at the same time find so much joy. And Leah on Thursdays does her art. There's going to be some shifts up and changes up in that. We're really going to learn what Righteous Rebels means for us and how to move it forward in the coming year. We would love to hear from you. What is it that you want to see? What is it that would be most helpful for you? Do you have guests that are like Jessie that you're aware of that we could bring on? And we're going to invite Jessie and other people like her and like us to help perpetuate and propel forward the mission of Righteous Rebel, which is coming home to yourself, which is all the things you've been talking about today.
I think it's so important too, in creating a safe environment for everybody to be seen and heard. I had a discussion with a trainer at my gym. Like, I just met her, and I always like stalking her when I'm at the gym. I'm like, oh, she's so beautiful. She's so strong. This woman is so consistent every day at the gym. And she just has this passion and this drive. Well, I went up to her and I met her. I introduced myself to her. I was like, I have to meet this person.
Like, I must know you.
So inspiring. And it was the most incredible conversation. She survived a lot. She had a story, just how I had a story with her, and she embodied that story, and she empowers other people. And that influence alone just reminded me how easy it is to talk to a stranger and remind me and remind all of us how fast and how exciting the ignite of personal experience and fury brings to other people. I don't know. I hope to meet a lot of you. I hope to meet people who have similar stories. I hope to meet people in recovery for mental health that they don't talk about, because I feel like we together can create a safe space to talk about those things where you don't feel allowed.
Well, and to remember that, stop putting judgment on your story, and that because it doesn't look like someone else's story, that it's not bad enough, or it's not important enough to share, or it's not messy enough. Like, everybody's story, your story,
it's important,
has value, and it's important. And they all have lessons for each of us to learn from. And I find value in each of your stories, which is part of why I do this. And for my own value, for my own story, but also I love to share other people's.
It's exciting. It's empowering to know that someone is relatable to you, or maybe they get it. Like, they get the dark parts of you. Yeah, that not aloneness within aloneness, right? Like, or loneliness within aloneness. Like, understanding the differences of loneliness and aloneness, and breaking cycles because you can, not because you have to. No one's like, get in there and do this different.
You have to go be a chain breaker.
Like, you don't have to do that. It just comes at a point in your life when you're not content with the version of you that you're becoming, and you maybe want to put your feet into something that you never have.
Oh my gosh.
It could be the best thing that you've ever done. And I said, I have so much to learn, and I have so much to be accountable for, and I still have so much to embrace, but I'm so excited, and I can't wait to finally have a new year, just like you have a new year. It's 2024. Like, reflect on all of those life experiences that you went through this last year. Reflect on the burden, reflect on the grievances of loss that you have to feel them, and then forgive yourself and reach out to people when you need help.
Yeah.
Reach out to people when you need help. Like, I would call her.
Wait, could you say that again?
Reach out to people if you need help.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is.
It can be the
out.
hardest thing to do. Like, I sometimes still struggle with that, is that reaching out part, because I don't want to put myself on someone else, but I know there are people that I can reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
And when I have done that, like, there is the greatest relief and joy that comes from that. There's power in reaching out. There's strength in reaching out. That vulnerability is...
It feels good.
It does feel good. And it's amazing.
So powerful to know that you're fully giving. You're just giving and trusting. You're trusting. You're trusting.
And that word has played such a huge role in the last year of my life. And I have a feeling it's going to keep playing.
Trust. And oh man, I mean, there's so many subjects we could even talk about.
We could go on forever.
But I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to talk raw with you, and not only to talk raw with you, but to know that we open up a door of opportunity to be a part of the journey together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with them, a lot of you, I don't know, like I said, a lot of you I hope to meet, a lot of you I hope to maybe influence or inspire. I hope I can inspire you, or maybe help you bloom into something that you've never been, or maybe you want to be. But I'm here for all of you. I'm here for every single one of you. I think we all have a story, and I feel like our stories together can create a movement bigger than anything that's ourself.
Oh, sister, for sure.
It is a movement. It is a movement of support and safety. And thank you. Like, I think every single person who's played such a huge role in my life, like, oh my goodness gracious, I could go on and on about everything that everybody's got me through. But
we'll do that. We're going to do this again, because there's a lot to talk about. I just want to say thank you for letting me take your picture that day.
I know.
For reaching out and asking me to take your picture to help you celebrate this achievement. But then also just for the lived experiences that you have been through, that have tumbled you, that have taken off your rough edges. And Jessie gave me a rock. She presented us with a gift.
I like rocks. If anybody knows me,
I love rocks too, which I thought this was so beautiful. But she presented me with this rock today that she had found. It's got colors, and it's smooth. It's like it's been tumbled, but it shows the imprints of other experiences and maybe people that have made their mark on us. And I love your story, even though I only know very little of it. I look forward to knowing more. But I really appreciate that you took the opportunity to figure out that you had value and you have worth, and that it was inside of you, and it was up to you to find it. And for the journey that you've been on, because like I say, I only know a scratch, but I know it hasn't been easy. In fact, it's been far from easy. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you
for reflecting back to me, my own journey. Even though they're very different, there's a lot of similarity, and the strength that we can give to each other, that we can give to our listeners and our viewers, and then just the world at large. So thank you for that.
I love you very much.
I love you too. And if you had final words to leave us with, like, let's do this. Three snippets of wisdom. I'm going to actually write these ones down.
Absolutely.
Here, I got it. Oh, she came prepared for this.
I did.
She knows me well enough.
I did.
So three tidbits of information just to live by until we meet again.
All right, guys. So I am sure I'm going to read you guys something really quick. Since we're talking raw vulnerability and emotions and deconstruction, I want to read you something. It might be a little bit heavy, but you'll understand, and it'll give you a perspective on deconstruction and feeling your emotions, okay? Before we get into, my three things that I want to tell you. Who am I? Am I the one you fell in love with, or did I fall in love with myself? Am I good enough, too loud, too sensitive to see through all of my bluffs? The dysregulated, useless, vicious emotions of the pain of a million pokes into my day-to-day. Breath held, jaw tight, hands clenched, teeth clenched. Heart racing, sweat behind my neck, strain in my vision. Left temple pain, head pressure, chest tight, eyes tired, restriction. Doubt, fear, red eyes, red swollen, breath short, eyes overstimulated. Hearing loss, blurred vision, screaming on the inside, grabbing, holding, and losing grip while falling forward. Thoughts heavy with fear and shame, never okay, never allowed, broken, hollow, and numb. Defeated, derived, deprived, and loud, craving quiet, calm, loving balance. Balance falling back and forth, feet planted, stance to tumble sideways. Angry, disconnected, selfish, and uncontrolled. A filling ball of loving energy rolling into the light of getting broken down for inexperience and lack of knowledge. Addicted and sober, drunk on the love of the idea that love stories within self exist. Beyond anger and violence, broken, bruised, and unconnected, take your medicine. Messy, cluttered, forgetful, confused, disassociated, and distant, take your medicine. Struggling, foggy, and unprepared, too much, too less, too much, less and down, take your medicine. Why? 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 Compassionate, loving, affectionate, confident, driven, capable, beautiful, loyal, and honest, empathetic, understanding, forgiving, and strong. Take your medicine. I wrote that random verse of words during a raw emotional feeling. So deconstruction. I threw a lot of emotions on the table. I want you to feel allowed and be able to write your emotions down that raw, how it feels, the physical control it has on your body. And so for me, I feel like healing is more than just nurturing all of these things, right? But it's self-reflection. It's the deconstruction of those emotions and how they physically affect your body. And if I could tell you one thing to start is keep your face towards the sunlight, and the shadows will always fall behind you. The shadow is made from light, right? Light reflection. And when it's dark, a shadow's gone. So in darkness, I feel like shadows stay alive. But when you're in the light, when you're focused on something that's brighter than the darkness, you're creating shadows. So why not embrace the light? Why obstruct your view? Stand in the light. Embrace your light. Embrace your view. My second thing for you guys would definitely be forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for everything you didn't know. Forgive yourself for everything you didn't understand. And accept that. Accept that forgiveness. It's like the hardest thing for me to do is forgiveness upon myself and what I did and what I went through and how I treated people and how I treated my life. I can do better. My third thing, which is so important to me, is let down your walls and be vulnerable to human connection and intimacy. Be open to intimacy, receive. Don't overpour, receive. Like, it's so easy to overpour. It's so easy to be codependent. It's so easy to attach and to have attachments to things outside of ourselves. But attach yourself to yourself, and you'll find that forgiving yourself is a lot easier. I believe in you guys. And if you felt hollowed, if you felt empty, and if you felt alone, I probably felt that too. But I don't have to anymore, neither do you. And you're allowed to create human connections with people who make you feel like you're saving your own life. Because you are.
It's that love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does.
It does.
And I just want to add, thank you. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability. Thank you for sharing your words, your tears. But I also want to say that if you're in that space that you feel hollow, you feel empty, it's actually a really beautiful place to be, because
embrace that feeling, because you have an opportunity to change everything
and to
that you
fill
ever
it
knew.
with all of the things you want to create in your world. And it can happen, and it does happen, and it is happening.
And it happens now. Like, give yourself the victory of waking up right now. You're here. You got out of bed today, right? Whether you're at work or at home, you're here. And then tomorrow you get another opportunity to do it again. And then again and again and again and again. How cool is it that at the end of every single day we get to reset and be something better than what we were yesterday? I hope to do that every day. I want to be better because I can, and because I'm allowed to. Not because I have to or because someone's making me, but I just want to. And I want to influence other people to want that for themselves as well, because I believe that you can too.
Dang. I feel like all I can say is amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love you.
And thank you to those of you who have hung with us.
Yes.
And let us do a little bit of an extended version. Stay tuned. We'll have Jessie on again, and we'll talk about more real, raw, emotional, just life experiences.
And I want to know, I would like to know topics too that you guys want to talk about. Like, I would love to get your perspective on our topics and your influence, and create more intimacy within this group to talk about the topics that we're never allowed
because
to.
Really, I didn't do this for me. I did it for you. But what I'm finding is I'm getting to help me too. Like, I created this, but really it is for me. But I give you my lived experience. And so what is it that you want to know? And Jessie's open to sharing that as well.
And
as are others.
All of it, all of the resources, all of the influence, the support. Like, I know every single person out there has something special. Everybody does. And it's blossoming that together into the most beautiful bouquet of people.
I love it. All right. This has been amazing, amazing Live and Unscripted. It's January 10th, 2024. What a great way to start off Live and Unscripted this year. You can, again, watch us on the replay over at Facebook, The Righteous Rebels Group. You can also go to therighteousrebels.com. We have a page there with many, many of our Live and Unscripted from the 2023 editions. And again, River Trip. Get a hold of us. I know that the link was put in the comments of how to get registered. That's an experience you want to be a part of. It literally, and in huge ways, I still am figuring out, I'm finding ways that it has changed my life. I did it in August. I would love for you. I would love to have you with us in August of 2024. I love you. I appreciate you. I love what you bring to the group, and for the journeys that you're on of healing and human connection and intimacy. And until next time, remember, be bold, be brave, be a rebel. We'll see you soon.